Yeah, and it's always about aligned action. And so when we're making these big decisions, we want to make sure we're aligned. And I love that people say, well, what does that actually mean? What does aligned action mean? It sounds really great. It's a great phrase, but what does that actually mean? I know when I first heard it, I was like, aligned action. Well, yeah, I know what I want, so I'm just going to go get it. But, like, what does aligned action really mean? What does that entail? And so, aligned action is about your beliefs. So,
Mhm.
if you're picking, you've got your results, right? You've got it written down. You know what you want. Okay, this is what I'm going to get. And do you actually believe it? So when it comes down to things, you can say, I want the pink and purple unicorn. Do you actually believe that there's a unicorn out there? And so, what are you really setting yourself up for? And so, when we start to make these decisions, what are your beliefs? And how do you feel about that belief? Is that so? When we're talking about alignment, are your emotions aligned? So let's just, I know a unicorn sounds ridiculous, but for some people, when they're saying, okay, well, I want to buy $1 million house, or I want to buy a $5 million house, whatever the number is for you, some people, it doesn't really matter. The point is, do you believe that you can achieve it? If you are moving into action and you haven't done the internal work first, if you haven't, first of all, made the decision, if you don't have any faith or belief in that decision, then what are you actually moving towards? Are you moving towards proving yourself that you were never going to do it anyway? Or are you moving yourself towards, yes, I know I'm going to do it because this is what I've decided, and I have faith in the universe that if I can see it in my mind, then I can get it. And this is where I find, and again, we're going to bring it back to the knowing doing gap, is that if you see it in your mind, the imagination, I've talked about this before, is the most important wheelhouse that we have. It is the most incredible gift that a human being could have. So when we're talking about, yeah, when, say you want to buy a house, what does that house look like? What are all these things? But if you have it in your mind and you have that belief that, oh, I'm never going to get that, or oh, I'm going to 10x my business. Well, what actions are you taking to get there in order to do that? If you don't believe that it can be done, then why are you doing it? So aligned action means you've done the internal work. You don't have to worry about how. You don't have to worry about every single detail. That's not your job. But your job is to have that persistence and that decision inside you that no matter what happens, because you saw it in your mind and you made the decision that that's real, that you're going to get there. And so aligned action is having your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings all aligned with that end result. And if you're taking action before you've done that, before you've taken the steps, before you have that confident knowing, like when it's the same kind of knowing, like you ask somebody, well, what happens after the day? Well, it's nighttime. If the tide comes in, what happens next? People will say the tide goes out. That is a firm belief. They know that when the sun comes up, that the sun's going to go down and it's going to be nighttime. So when you're taking aligned action, you want to have that concrete belief. And again, you don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. That's not your job. But you need to have a really persistent, firm belief that you are going to achieve the result that you've imagined inside your mind. And if you're just like, okay, this is what I want, and you're going to rush out and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get there. And then you go home and you're like, if and you're in that, then the decisions that you make are going to be from that belief system, and they're going to be from those feelings. And every action we take, most people, is from their feelings. They're not even aware of their beliefs because they're so fixated on their feeling. And if you don't feel you're going to get it, you're going to hesitate. You're going to make different choices because you're making them from a belief system that isn't in alignment with what you truly desire. And so it's so incredibly important that people really start to think about their beliefs, their feelings, and then the actions that they're moving towards. And are those actions in alignment with the end result and the end goal? And if you're finding gaps between the result, your beliefs, and your feelings, that is the knowing doing gap. And that's where mentorship and having somebody help you and guide you and be a part of the process is so critical, because those gaps are the difference between success and, success later, or success never, or giving up all entirely, or say you just don't take any action at all. You just go, oh, later, oh, next time, oh, maybe, or you just, like a lot of people, they give up entirely. And we don't want people doing that. That's why the persistence with your mentor is so critically important when you're first starting to do this work, and when you're first starting to enter personal development and really take on those big goals. And when your desires from your heart really start to emulate to you, and your heart and your feelings really start to show in the picture of your mind, and you start to get so emotionally involved, and you become so passionate about what you saw, and you're like, if I see it, then maybe I really can do it this time. And this is where we want to get people to where they're so emotionally involved, no matter how difficult it is or how they perceive it. Your mentor will say, no, it's not. This is achievable. And this is how I've done it. And this is how you can do it. And it's such a game changer to get that success more quickly and to make those quantum leaps faster, so that you're not relishing anywhere that you really don't need to put energy into or be. You can do it effectively, efficiently, and with love and with faith, and just that solid knowing, and celebrating with your team, and just sharing, because stewardship is about people. All of our experiences are about people. We don't do this alone. Nothing we do is alone. It might feel that way sometimes, but when you get the right team and you get the right mentorship, you're invincible. There's nothing that you can't have, do, or be.